What up, boys? It's Devin, and in this video, I'm going to show you the 4 steps that you need to copy so you could 2x your metabolism and add 15 pounds of lean muscle, 6-pack abs, no body fat, jacked to the gills, shredded, mental clarity, focus on point. Let's get it. So I'm going to show you how my 2 clients turned fat into lean muscle while 2xing their metabolism. So as you can see Shawn here, Shawn actually lost 20 pounds and got way more jacked because Shawn turned all of his body fat into lean muscle. So he took the chillin' bod, the dad bod, into being straight up shredded. And then you look at Andre, he was on the skinnier side. He was kind of scrawny. So what we did with Andre was help him add 25 pounds of lean muscle to his physique with no fat gain. So they also were able to drop all their bad habits, drop all their vices, become mentally clear, set clear goals, become energized, become focused, become accountable to themselves, and just completely change who they are as men and reach their full potentials. And I'm going to show you exactly what they were doing before they came to me that was stopping them from becoming the best versions of themselves. Andre and Shawn were both always tired and bloated. Not consistent with their diet either. They would fall off of their meals. They'd be consistent for some time, and then they would fall off. They both were training consistently, but saw no results. Shawn was training consistently for a long time, saw no results, and completely abandoned the gym. Whereas Andre was in the gym 5 to 6 days a week, training like a dog, eating like a dog, and still not seeing results. So they were both plateaued, and as a result, they were getting very discouraged and starting to feel like their goals were kind of unrealistic. So they weren't necessarily proud of themselves because they were putting effort in and not seeing the result. And they were also giving into vices like porn, alcohol, and weed. And look, I've struggled with all of these things, but these things are killing your metabolism and they're holding you back from seeing your highest potential. They both also had no structure and no accountability. And they had unclear goals. They didn't know what their next steps needed to be. And they didn't have the clarity they needed to really dive head first into their goals and start seeing their full potential. So let's go a little bit deeper onto what was holding them back. Number 1 being not optimized diet. They were eating things like chicken, oats, protein powders, protein shakes, protein bars, protein yogurts, and vegetables. All of these things are killing your metabolism and they're shit for you. And we'll go deeper into that later. But some of them, they were having energy drinks and sugary coffees, which is horrible. And all they were worried about was the food fits my macros. But clearly, that wasn't working out well for them. And it caused them to have low energy, bloating, brain fog, bad gym performance, bad pumps, and most importantly, slow metabolism. Now, let's go into having no clear goals. What does this look like? They had goals in place, but they had no plan to achieve them, and their goals weren't specific. So they knew they wanted to be better, but they didn't really know what that looked like. And they kept flip-flopping between bulk and cut. Should I bulk? Should I cut? They didn't know whether or not they should be bulking or cutting because they didn't have those clear goals. And they also had shiny object syndrome. So they would hear about a new diet or a new training thing, or you shouldn't eat this, shouldn't eat that. They were following all these influencers online, and it was confusing them, and they kept switching what they were doing, so they weren't staying consistent. And another reason why they weren't seeing results, they also had no clear why behind the goals. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why do you want to achieve what you want to achieve? Once you understand that on a deeper level, it helps you have more fire and more tenacity towards what you do. And they also had no clear roadmap. They didn't know what their next steps needed to be, so it was impossible for them to go head first, dive in, and reach their full potential. And they weren't tracking progress. If you're not tracking progress, how are you going to know if you're getting any better? Now, let's go into the undisciplined lifestyle. They're both business owners. They're both trying to make some things out of their career, and they're busy, and they weren't prioritizing any stress management. So that was spiking their cortisol, tanking their metabolism, and also leading to them to have impaired decision-making in their business. They had no AM or PM routine, which led to poor sleep. They were abusing cardio, thinking that's going to help them get shredded, which obviously it wasn't working. And they were smoking weed, drinking alcohol, and skipping meals, falling off of their routine. All things that are horrible for metabolism and are not going to help you achieve your goals. So as a result of doing all of these things, they had slow metabolism. So let's go into the 4 things that you need to copy if you want to 2x your metabolism and add 15 pounds of lean muscle. So Number one being diet. Let's dive into diet. So, the first thing that we had them do was eliminate all processed BS foods that destroy their gut health. Because if your nutrient absorption is impaired, you're not going to be able to absorb all your nutrients and all of your protein and build real new lean muscle. And it's going to cause all the symptoms that they were having, like the brain fog, the bloating, the lack of motivation, all comes from those processed foods. So processed foods were fixed by eating stuff like this: ground beef, I'll explain what kind of chicken they needed to eat. Chicken, steak, shrimp, and eggs. Carbs, they were having, white rice, raw unfiltered honey, organic fruits. And then fats come from avocado, raw kefir, raw yogurt, raw milk. You got your kimchi, raw cheese, all things that are fantastic for your gut and for your metabolism. So another thing that they were doing was prioritizing thermo foods, fermented foods, and micronutrients. So thermogenic foods are foods that basically heat up your body and double your metabolism. And then fermented foods are going to literally fix your gut so that you can be completely optimal and have a high metabolism. And then micronutrients are there to double your metabolism. Here's what it looks like when I mean thermo foods. So total daily calories burned, 10% comes from exercise performed separately from daily activities. Then here, thermic effect of food is how many calories your body burns when eating and digesting food. So if you eat the right foods at the right time, you can literally burn calories from eating. Yes, you can burn calories from eating. And then also there's the NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This is calories you burn off by being active, such as doing things like push-ups, dynamic stretching, walking, etc. Now here's the best part. Your RMR, your resting metabolic rate, is how many calories your body burns while at rest. Or you could say BMR, the minimum number of calories your body needs to perform its most basic functions, like breathing, producing cells. If you build more lean muscle and optimize for lean muscle, you burn 6 to 10 calories just by sitting there per minute. So if you're able to eat thermogenic foods and build lean muscle that's going to literally burn fat while you're sitting there, it's going to be so easy for you to get shredded. This is not as complicated as you think. You just need the right plan. So there you go. And then obviously optimizing the macros and the calories. So Shawn's calories when he first started looked like this. You got Shawn having about 2,500 calories. He was just a little bit under his maintenance, prioritizing protein and healthy fats so that he could boost his cholesterol, get his hormones going, because hormones balance is what's important for having high metabolism, and then obviously the protein to recomposition his body and build new muscle, and slowly staying in that small deficit so he can continue to shred off all the fat at the same time. And then Andre, he had to eat 3,700 calories, eating a whole bunch of protein, a whole bunch of fat, so again, he can optimize for cholesterol, optimize for micronutrients, and make sure that his hormones are dialed in so his metabolism can be skyrocketed. And then he had his carbs, obviously, as an extra, fuel source, but he didn't even, he did a really, really good job at the macros, and that's why he got such good results so quickly. So diet is number one. Now let's go into the training, all right? So this was Andre's first training split when he very first started. It was a 5-day split. Now, I always say train 4 days, not 5 days. But the thing about Andre is he needed it mentally. He had to be in the gym more. He begged me to be in more than 4 days. So this is what we put together for him. A 5-day training split focused on hypertrophy. So it was basically emphasis on triceps, abs, back, and hamstrings. So day one was a back and abs workout. I'm not going to go into it too much because I want to get through this video so you guys can understand. But if you want to screenshot this and try it for yourself, knock yourself out. I mean, it really depends on your goals, but you could try. But the split was focused on increasing his size and his strength because like I said, if you build lean muscle through getting strong, you're burning more calories at a rested state. So his day went back and abs, then chest and buys, then calves, hamstrings, and quads. Then a day where he just went on the bike for 30 minutes and rested, and then shoulders and triceps. Now, this was the extra day I built in for him called an active recovery day, where I personally don't even do this anymore. I prefer to just rest. but he wanted that extra day. So the active recovery days where he went to the gym, he did a bunch of static stretching, really loosened up his body, and basically just worked some abs and did a little bit of cardio, either the Stairmaster, the treadmill, the seated bike, but he stayed in zone 2 cardio where his heart rate didn't go over 130 beats per minute, so he could stay within that fat burning zone. And that was really it. And all of his workouts focused on intensity and failure. Each set should be taken to muscle failure with maximum intensity because, again, we are here to build lean muscle, not to do HIIT workouts. Then rest periods. Rest periods between sets of 1 to 2 minutes maintaining training because you want to have maximum intensity for every single set. So 1 to 2 minutes is perfect. And then, of course, progressive overload. Continuously strive to increase the weight or reps in each session. This is something that we tracked. And then form and technique. I go so in depth with my clients about form and technique because if you don't have proper form, you're going to hurt yourself. And if you're injured, you're out of the game. And the game of getting lean and staying lean is staying in the game. So you want to prioritize recovery, form, and technique. So that's something that I really, really go over in depth with my clients. Focus on proper form, controlled movements to engage muscles effectively, and of course, prevent injuries. And then obviously the rest, recovery, and nutrition to ensure you get enough rest and proper nutrition to facilitate muscle growth and recovery. Now, that is the training. Now, let's go into the goals. So I want to briefly touch on goals, right? Let's go into why goals are important really quick. Because if you want to set real goals, if you want to have real clarity and real structure in your life, you need to know how to set real goals. So first of all, if this video has been valuable so far, go ahead and subscribe to my channel because I'm going to keep ripping for you boys. And I got a bunch more. So why is setting goals important? You need to know exactly where you're headed. If you wanted to drive to Mexico, would you get in your car and just start driving? Or would you use a map or a GPS or your phone? Of course, you would plan out your drive before driving somewhere you've never been before. So consider this. If your goals are like Mexico, your goals are foreign territory. It's a place you've never been, you've never seen. And if you are the car, where's the map in this analogy? If you just got in the car and tried to drive to Mexico, you probably wouldn't be so successful without a map. So the map is your daily inputs that you'll be putting in every single day that move the needle closer and closer to your goals. And this ensures your goals will be achieved, and it's only a matter of time when you nail the proper inputs, because we often get down on ourselves because we don't have the goal yet. And as humans, we're impatient. But the only thing you can control when you're trying to achieve anything is the daily inputs you put in each and every day. So therefore, setting goals is critical. And each and every day, you need to know exactly what you need to do in order to eliminate doubt and analysis paralysis. Having this mental clarity keeps you motivated, keeps you inspired and excited, and every day get to work. So having daily inputs and non-negotiables to focus on gives you something to work on every single day. And this ensures that you're becoming 1% better every day and gives you a way to quantify your progress. And you will never again have to guess if you're making progress. The guessing game ends. So now that you know why, I want you to understand when you're setting goals, it's very important that when you're writing out your goals, you need to dream big. You got to set massive goals. So even if it seems out of reach or unrealistic, write it down anyways. Shatter all your limitations and inner child when you're going through this exercise. Ignore the options of the opinions of others, and don't worry about anyone else's opinion or judgment. Just tune the world out and go deep. So you have to get really specific on your goals. Now, if you want to learn how to set real goals, go ahead and take a screenshot right here, and you could read through this, but it's important to set personal, professional, and financial goals. These are all things that I have my clients, Andre and Shawn, set, and then we built a plan to achieve those goals and track the daily inputs. So examples of these kind of goals are, for personal, you want to set 1 and 3 and 5 year goals, right? So gain 15 pounds of muscle, build a stronger relationship with girlfriend, build a stronger relationship with God. That's personal. Or make 10K per month from my business, buy an investment property, start a crypto portfolio. There you go. Clear credit card debt, buy a Rolex, vacation to Bali. And you could, again, I'll give you a second to screenshot this so you could see examples of goals that you can set. But this is a perfect generic example. This is not Andre or Shawn's goals. I created this as just a guide for you guys. But setting clear goals changes everything in your life. And then of course, the lifestyle, right? So this is a screenshot of an example of what our one-on-one dashboard entails, where you would see, like Shawn and Andre did, a 4-step morning routine to optimize your metabolism and to set you in the highest frequency state for your day. And they tracked it here. And then every night they would write down the 5 most needle moving tasks they need to get done to move closer to those goals that they set each and every day. Only 5 things so that you don't get overwhelmed. You know exactly what you need to do. You're keeping your cortisol low so your metabolism can soar, and you're always moving that needle. And then 3 things you regret from the day, you would write down. You always look for 3 things that you regret, because you're holding yourself to a high standard. And as long as you don't repeat those 3 things, you're getting better every single day. Now, daily habits. 10 to 15 minutes of sun exposure so that you can get your vitamin D up and get your hormones going to boost metabolism. Obviously 10K steps to stay shredded, boost metabolism, and then staying hydrated with a gallon of water. 50 daily push-ups, doing it as micro movements throughout the day at random times to keep the metabolic engine firing. Journaling 1 page is a stress management tool. Write 3 things. Obviously, this is just tracking everything else. And then, of course, the accountability. They have 24/7 access to me via my personal cell phone number, where they text me and ask me questions all day long. And then weekly one-on-one calls with me, where we would adjust their routine, adjust their plan, and basically work around their schedule every single week so they could stay consistent. And then they also have the weekly group calls with like-minded other men, where I either give presentations or we do Q&A, and we do like masterminds every single week, which is another great form of accountability, because you need the accountability to learn how to stay consistent with all this stuff. And then, of course, a community of other men in school where we're all on the same mission, giving each other support, posting wins, and just creating that friendly competition. So basically, that's everything that needs to be done for you to optimize. Now, take a look at this, okay? Let me make myself smaller. These are 2 men. One has low metabolism, one has high. If you have low metabolism, you're going to experience the feelings of depression, because having low metabolism causes mood swings, lack of focus, constant fatigue, which can lead to injury. You're going to always feel tired. You're going to always feel sore from the gym. Decreased muscle mass, man titties, abdominal fat, low libido. You're not waking up fucking bricked. Decreased athletic performance. All of these things are literally side effects of you having low metabolism. Now, once you optimize your metabolism, what you will find is mental focus, elevated mood. You're going to feel great. You're going to be confident as shit. You're going to have a bunch of increased muscle mass. Your heart's going to be healthy. Your body fat's going to go down. You're going to wake up bricked every single day. You're going to just be so dialed. You're going to feel so good and so focused that you're going to realize, wow, I've only been operating at 30% of my capacity my whole life. So let's keep going. Here's an example of Shawn. Shawn in this picture is 180 pounds. This is before we optimized his metabolism and got him shredded. And in this picture, he's 160 pounds. Way more shredded, way more jacked. He started making more money in his business. He started feeling energized every single day. And he literally told me his gut issues were fixed. That's something we also address. And he started feeling the most clarity and purpose he's ever felt in his life. Now you can come down here and see Andre. He was lost in life. He didn't know what his next steps need to be. He didn't know what he needed to do to move forward. And as you can see, he was stuck in the gym. He was spinning his wheels, and he knew something had to change. That's why he reached out to me. And here he is, 25 pounds of lean muscle later in just simply 2 months. Jacked out of his mind. He's confident as hell. He's doing well in his business. And he's feeling fantastic. And then there was me. All the problems that my clients faced, I lived it for most of my life. And honestly, I probably lived it worse than them. Here I am with that belly, right? I had some muscle, but I had that freaking belly, and I couldn't get rid of it. I had a bunch of bad habits, a bunch of vices, and a bunch of things that were really holding me back. But once I optimized for gut health and metabolism, look at the change in my body, and it also changed me as a man to become the highest version of myself. Now, before I show you what the one-on-one dashboard looks like, if you want to optimize your metabolism, turn 15 pounds of fat into lean muscle in the next month, 2 months, go ahead, book a call with me. Link is in the description and in the pinned comments, and we'll see if we're a good fit to work together. And if we are, I'm gonna make sure that you get results like this in the next month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, depending on your situation. You are going to change your life. Now, let me show you what the one-on-one dashboard looks like. Welcome to the one-on-one Ironclad Warrior Blueprint. This is what each and every client gets, a customizable one-on-one dashboard. This is accessible on your iPhone as well. And basically, if you come in here, I'm not gonna go too in depth, but I'm gonna show you your next steps that you need to do every single week is always gonna be right here. You're gonna write down your goals here. And then of course, your custom training plan is going to look exactly like this. So if we were to just come into one of the workouts, back in abs, for example, this is where you rate your intensity of the workout. You know, you can put your calories here, or you just put a screenshot of it. And then progress photos once a week. Then if you come down, here's where you can write in, you know, your morning routine, check it off, keep track of your business in here. You could do everything in here. This is really high level stuff. And then if you come down, here's your workouts where it tells you what workouts to do, how many sets, how many reps, and you would just write in, you know, how many you achieve, what weight, and then videos, video instructions of me explaining how to do everything. So each and every week you have your custom plan right here in your calendar, and then there's levels for you to level up in this program. You're gonna set goals. There's a bunch of modules here. I have so many modules and so many resources for you to learn from, on top of obviously having me one-on-one. There's worksheets we can use. There's all these extra accessories for you. And then in your resources, there's plenty of different stuff in here as well, which I'm not gonna get too deep into, including meal plan supplements and a bunch of resources for you to be dialed as fuck. So if you would like this for yourself, if you wanna change your life and become the highest version of you, book a call. Again, link is in the description. See if we're a good fit to work together. And if we are, it's time for you to finally see your full potential, stop spinning your wheels, and become dialed. I'll see you soon, brother. If you want to hear more about what we do, I'm going to put 2 interviews, one with Andre and one with Shawn, that you can watch. These are full interviews, one-on-one, where I sat down with Shawn and Andre, asked them about their experience and everything they learned, where you can learn more wisdom and more game so you can make a transformation like those guys. Love you, boys.